Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel and to a brand new episode of Writing Wednesdays. Here's our new question from this week, so let's get started. Employers should focus on personal qualities instead of qualifications and experience when choosing someone for a job. To what extent do you agree? Well, right away, I disagree with this idea. I think it's ridiculous. But again, it's entirely up to you. You might agree, but as long as you have some good points, that's really all that matters. There is no right or wrong. There's only your opinion because it's an opinion essay. So choose what you truly think is right, but just be careful. Sometimes what happens is you might have an opinion, but you may not be able to defend it well. So go with the side that you feel you have the most points, the most arguments for. In this case, I think it's not a good idea. I'm gonna disagree, but back before I can, go all in on that, I'll need to have my main ideas. So I need to have two main ideas why employers should not focus on personal qualities. I think one of the biggest reasons why qualifications and experience are still important is that that's kind of how you check, right? So employees need to be trained. A good employee performance is, closely tied, not tired, to their qualifications and experience, to their, yeah, exactly. I mean, you hire someone for a job for a very specific reason to do a job. Personal qualities play personal qualities play a limited role. But I don't want that to turn to personal qualities paragraph, so maybe I can have another main idea. Performance is closely tied to education and training will ultimately play a bigger role in employee success. But let's see. Performance and success are kind of similar, so I don't think this is a good main idea, so I'm going to delete that. Education and training will ultimately help them be good, help them employees achieve their goals at work, right? But it's also kind of similar. I have to change it. So employee performance is closely tied to their qualifications and experience, education and training. I was going to say something about how personal quality, education and training are more important, are more, let's say, are more likely to decide an employee or have greater influence for an employee's workplace success. There we go. Greater influence than personal traits. There we go. Okay. Now I need to have 3 supporting ideas for each main idea. Performance is tied to qualifications. They go to university, they learn about the field, right? Guessing or estimating future performance is easier based on their qualifications. Easier to do based on the qualifications and experience. So learn about their field. Past history, training from others in the same field, like hands-on training. Right? This is theory, this is practical. And you put the two of them together, then it's easier to can easily estimate how good that person would be at the job. There we go. Now, personal traits, to do certain tasks, their knowledge is more important and character. Also, without training or education, no amount of traits can make up for that. I mean, you cannot have you hire somebody to be a stockbroker just based off what vibes. That's not gonna work out. That's a horrible idea. Okay, so that's that. Without training, normal traits can make up for that. And what else? Greater influence over personal workplace success. There's very few jobs where very few to almost no really jobs where there's almost no jobs like that anymore. Yeah. You just don't. I mean, if you're talking about, like, let's say somebody who, let's say a burger flipper for McDonald's. Okay, that's maybe an example. But again, that's like, slowly with all this automation and whatnot, these jobs are being taken away because there really is no real skill to it, So, yeah. So I got my ideas right here. Now I need to write my introduction. So I'm going to start. What is this about? It's about, okay, the job market is excessively competitive these days. And many applicants believe that their personal qualities can outshine their lack of an education or training. This, however, is untrue, as one's knowledge and past history, work history, are still the most important things that one is judged on when being hired. There you go. That's my introduction. Looks good enough, but I'll just check the word count to be sure. Okay, so this one is 50 words exactly. There we go. We have our main idea. So take that. Just gonna take the main idea right here, paste it over here. Okay, learning about the field. Estimating future performance is easy to do based on, let's just say easy, not easier, because easier is comparison, right? And I'm not exactly comparing here, I am comparing in the next paragraph, not here. So it's easy to do based on qualifications and experience. This is largely because when someone has gone to university, has attended university and received a degree or diploma or some kind of qualification, it proves that they have learned about the field that they want a job in, and that they have the right, theoretical knowledge necessary. They have the necessary theoretical knowledge. There we go. Okay. They have the necessary. Okay. Then past history. In addition to that, their previous employment history proves that they shows that they have received hands-on training, hands-on practical training in that field and can be trusted with the responsibilities of their job. What else? Estimate how good a person. When both of these are taken together into consideration when hiring an employee, it becomes easy to estimate how good that person would be in their future job or role. There we go. And finally, thus, if that's many future promises to do, if one were to evaluate a person based on their if, let's say education and their work history on these two criteria, it would make the decision, the hiring decision, easy, relatively easy, because it's never easy to hire someone. There we go. That's our paragraph. Then we have our next main idea, which is right here. I'm going to take that, put that in here. Okay, all right. Education and training have a greater influence than personal traits. Have more influence. That's fine. Have greater influence than personal traits over an employee's workplace success. Okay, and then my idea is say doing tasks. Okay, this is especially important because in order to do certain tasks at work, in almost any job, their knowledge of the workplace, of their workplace related processes is far more important than their character. In fact, without education and the right training, they simply cannot function at work and do what is required of them, because no amount of personal traits can make up for a lack of education and training. Almost, yeah. Another pertinent fact is that in today's world, at least, there are very few to no jobs. Okay. There are very few jobs where no education, no formal education, and I'm going to use education or work history are required to perform their role. So another pertinent fact is that in today's world, at least, there are very few jobs where no formal education or work history are required to perform their roles, to perform at the workplace, to perform are required in order to do the job well, with personality being the only deciding factor. So that's almost impossible these days, at least. So there are very few jobs where no formal education or work history are required in order to do the job well, with personality being the only deciding factor. Where no formal education. And where personality is the only deciding factor, in order for a person to do their future job well. There we go. Okay, and then I end with therefore. If one were to estimate, I think I've already said that. Okay, great influence. Okay, therefore, if one were to I've kind of already used this structure, so I'm not going to use that again. Maybe I don't need a conditional sentence. I could say, for example, education and training greater influence for traits. Okay. Therefore, in order to judge potential success at the workplace, training, skills, and what else? Qualifications are more important than personality. There we go. So there's our two paragraphs. Now let me check just how big each of these paragraphs is in terms of size. There we go. So the first one is 135 and the second one is 141. That's good enough. I mean, you don't have to write so much, but I do tend to write a bit more generally. Okay, then we have our conclusion. In conclusion, it is evident that for almost any job, the right training and what else? Training and qualifications are vital because personality alone cannot make up for the lack of these two, and they remain a great screening tool for employers. There you go. If people were hired solely based off their personal traits, the world would become entirely out of order. Would become entirely out of order. I mean, it would make no sense, you know. It make zero sense. Order, I meant, of based on. Sometimes you can say based off. It's a little bit Americanized though. Okay, let's see how many words this is. Okay, there we go. That's 382 words. So there's your first paragraph. That's the introduction. Then you have your first body paragraph. You have the second body paragraph. And finally, you have the conclusion. So there we go. You can pause the screen and you can read that carefully. Take your time. Essay writing does not really have to be some super complicated thing. We have a lot of videos, so don't forget to check those out. We have tons of content for task 2 for speaking as well. And we have a lot of writing videos for letters also. So don't forget to watch those as well. They'll help you a lot. And in case you're still struggling with IELTS preparation, feel free to reach out to me. My number is on the screen. You can text or call me anytime and I'll reach out to you. And we also have courses that begin every Monday, so you could potentially start pretty soon. All right then, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.